I wanted to share today just what I went through going from corporate to entrepreneur. And I'm just going to speak the best that my brain will process the things. So if I say anything that's just, I don't know, weird or like, just forgive me. I just want to just say it. Okay. There's no script here. I don't even have bullet points. I just want to talk about this because I feel like for me and the journey that I've had this year becoming an entrepreneur has, I mean, I was like, nobody nobody talks about this. So I want to talk about it. Okay. So I have spent a lot of my years in my life learning my craft, building my career. I started as a print intern. So I worked with books and learned InDesign as an intern, and that was in 20. I started in 2013. Um, so I knew when I was 16 that I wanted to be a graphic designer. So from literally that moment, that's when I started studying design, figuring it all out, what I needed to do. Da da da. Life kind of kicked me in the rear, and I didn't get to actually graduate college until I was 22. I'm sorry, 28. I graduated in 2012, but I was 28 years old. So my first internship, actually, the lady that was my creative director was my age. And so she was, I think she was like 28, 29, and I was 28. Um, but I mean, that makes sense, right? Because she graduated college. So her and I both graduated high school in '02, right? She would have graduated in '06 if you go right after high school. Okay. So anyway, so she had the background and the time in the design field. Um, Anyway, I don't know. I guess I just said that just because if you're somebody that's starting a little bit later in life, don't give up. And to be honest with you, the woman in my life, because I always felt like I mean, in college, if you're older, if you start later, like they actually call you, I think it's like untraditional student or something like that. And I mean, that kind of, you're like, okay. But I'm just gonna say this because I remember it used to bug me when I was when I was in university. There's a whole story there, but when I got into the university, I was a little bit older, and so I graduated. I was 28 years old, and it would bug me. And my grandmother, I love her so much. She would, I mean, she raised a whole family, and then went back to college. Yeah, in her early 40s, and then had a career and retired from that career. So she would just always remind me like age doesn't matter. So anyway, I guess if that maybe that's for somebody who's watching and maybe feels like, "Oh, I started too late." It's never too late. If it's in your heart, do it. Anywho, so what I'm getting at is that I spent all this time working on my craft and my skill, and I worked in the media industry from 20 or yeah, well, 2008. So while I was in college, I was already freelance designing for like boutiques in the town. I actually worked for a small modeling agency. A lot of people don't know that. Um, in photography, so I did photography around 2008 for her, and then I did just ads and stuff for like local boutiques, like for their shops. And so since '08, I started in the industry world, but then I got into corporate in 2013 because I was an intern and at an editorial place. And then from there, I went into magazines, and from magazines, I went into um, working with marketing people, and then da 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 da. So I got out of, well, God took me out of the corporate world earlier this year. February was my last, like, I'm out of here. And I did a little bit of contract work for another marketing place, but it's just God was like, no, like you need to focus on what you're doing. And so I I felt some sort of way when I started my entrepreneurial and really going all in. So I've had my LLC since November of 2020 because I really started taking my freelance a little bit more serious. But my foot was still in, like, feeling like I needed to prove myself in the corporate world, even though I had already had an art director position. So in 2019, the magazine I was working for, that magazine went under, and so they let go of, like, the whole brand, like that whole group of people that were working for that brand, and that was hard. Like, people don't really realize that when you're a creative, that, and especially when you worked from, because I started there as a production assistant and worked my way up in that company to art director. And I didn't realize until that moment how connected I was to having that position. So, um, again, it was one of those things, like, it was hard when it happened, but I'm so grateful that it happened because I needed to understand that that job is not what defined me as a creative. So again, anybody going through that, just know that that was the lesson for me. But yeah, so 2024 February, my last position in the corporate world was creative director, and I revived my LLC, got it right, and was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out here and do my own thing. But that was after I don't know, I felt some sort of way the next day. And I just told God, look, God. I literally put my hands up, came to my desk, this exact desk, put my hands up. I said, Lord, it's all you. These are your hands. These are your skills. This everything I do, everything I touch is for you. Because there were things that happened where when I was still in the corporate world that I had to really turn to God and be like, I don't work for man, I work for you. And so I see why, like, I can see it now when I step back, like why I was pulled out of there. And because now I like fully work for him. And the calling on my heart is to help other creatives develop their skills, and any creative entrepreneur, professional, or anybody who's just wanting to learn more about design, photography, brand development. you know I'm here to help develop their creativity. Like, that is the calling on my life. And so I'm really excited about it because I see where all the things that I've gone through has literally prepared me for this. There is even a part of my journey where I taught high school. I didn't know I could teach. That's pretty wild. Again, that's another story. But what I'm getting at here is that, so I have all these things, but whenever I became an entrepreneur, I was like, nobody knows any of that, right? So when you are in the corporate world, you have a resume, you have a CV, you show it, when you're looking for a job, you have all these things to show, right? This is the experience I have. This is the university I graduated from. This all the publications I've been in, the exhibitions, all of that. You have all of the awards and honors, da da da. You have all that on a resume so that they can see if you're a good fit. So what's wild to me is that whenever you're out here marketing for yourself, nobody knows you. Nobody knows. There's not like I guess your website, right, would be like your resume to the world. But to me, it's like you're kind of like I felt to me like I was starting completely over. And okay, what was really, really, really hard for me was for the past 16 years, I have always been in the background. I was behind the computer, behind the camera, taking pictures for other people, helping their brands look, telling their story. And so when you become an entrepreneur and when you become a business, well, you're a brand. And so now, like, you have to tell your story. You have to let yourself be known to the world so that people can come and work with you. And that was or I mean I'm in it right now. That's hard for me. Y'all don't even realize how hard this is for me right now. Like I feel I'm like, don't look at me like me. Like this is how I am. I mean, if with me and my friends, my family, or people that know me one on one, I'm a goofball. Like I dance in the car, all that stuff. And so for me to like just talk to who knows, right? It's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of mind boggling. But literally felt and y'all saw that video 2 days ago. God said, if you want to be publicly known, you have to let the world know who you are. So, like, this is what I'm doing now. But nobody really tells you that. I mean, you hear it, but like, I don't know how to explain it. And hopefully, like, you know, if there's somebody out there feeling like, how do I run my own business or how do I, do this? Like, yeah, you do have to, especially with creatives, because we're so used to serving other people. We're so used to helping other people's, dreams and visions come to life. And so when it's our turn to put ourselves out in the world, like we have to we have to turn the camera and the lights on us and let ourselves be known. So I just I would just felt called to talk about that today. I am still in it. I am still learning. I mean, you can see, like, I think my YouTube channel says it's been on since whatever. And that's another thing too. When you go look at somebody's YouTube channel, they might have just started that account years ago, and then within the past year or a couple months started, putting videos or whatnot. So this is all super new to me. Like I think my first how-to video was in February, and I remember because when you're doing research and everything, I remember hearing the professionals, or the not even just the professionals, but the ones that it's done, the ones that have done it, the ones that have had millions of views and all this stuff. There was a guy, I forgot his name now. It was on Think Media. If you're not following Think Media, follow Think Media because Think Media is awesome. But it was one of his interviews, Sean's interviews, and he was talking to a gentleman who was saying, he tells people, like when people ask for advice, he says, do 20 videos and then come ask for my advice. And I mean, I totally understand that now, because I mean, you just gotta do it. You just have to do it. And I mean, I have seen my growth, but there's still like, um, anyway, did go back and like watch a few of my old videos yesterday, and I was like, cringe. Because there are some messages that I had, or that I have, that I recorded early on. And I just feel like it wasn't articulated well. The confidence wasn't there. And so, um, yeah, I mean, I would say that confidence is like a muscle. I like that actually. Confidence is a muscle. You have to build it. And I totally understand that. Um, which I mean, I've done lectures in front of classrooms. I've done presentations at um, at a university or whatever, or for a university. And I've done that, but like, just, I don't know, being on here, it's a little different. It's a little different. So yeah, I don't know. I might call these like "Let Myself Be Known" series because that's how I feel that this is. So just sharing just things that are on my mind, and yeah. If you relate, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I mean, I think that's what any of us are doing here on YouTube, is just, I know for me, I'm just trying to find my people, my community, people that I can help, people that that can learn from me and that I can learn from them. Because that's the other thing. Yes, I have all this experience, but I'm a student. I am a student of design. I'm a student of life. Um, and I remember that too when I taught in high school. I would tell the students, because there's so, especially as a designer, especially in the creative field, there are tons of different ways to do something. Like, and so for like, I know Photoshop, right? And in design, Illustrator, all that stuff. But it's a tool, and we all use those tools so differently. So I would tell them that if you see me modeling something and you happen to know an easier way, hey, let me know. I'd love to learn anything that's going to help us, right? Work faster, um, be better at what we do, like, share that. So anyway, yeah. Well, I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see what's on the noggin mañana. Bye.